Hey guys, and welcome back to another article by Peace with the Process by yours truly. Today, I'm going to bring to you a short story that I wrote for Peace with the Process titled The Tattered Little Sailboat. I'm basically going to read you off this first portion of the short story, and then I'll give you what my takeaway was. So let's go ahead and get started. One morning, looking down toward the ship docks, a tattered little sailboat is washing up to shore. The captain of the little boat is doing everything he can to wrangle in twisted line and ripped sails. The cockpit that was once a place to lay his head is filled with water seeping in through the hole where the keel once was. The mast is non-existent, leaving large pieces of itself floating alongside him. As he inches closer to the shore, the stern drops under and water rushes over the deck. The hull hits the bottom of the bank, leaving the captain standing waist high in salt water with an armful of sails. Realizing it's worthless to try and rescue the beaten little sailboat, he drops the soggy sails and makes his way out of the water and up the shore. Days, weeks, months, maybe even years pass by before we see the captain again. This time, he is seen walking toward the docks amongst a small crowd. His clothes look new, and his head is tilted toward the sky. Members of the crowd seem to know him and are seen talking to him with smiles on their faces, nudging each other playfully as they walk the docks. They get closer and closer, and the crowd gets thicker and thicker. Their smiling faces, once touched by the sun, are now shaded as the crowd is seen funneling onto a ship. This ship is so large that 50 of the captain's little sailboats could be hidden behind it. Its decks are bustling with crew members loading supplies, scaling the hull and mast, doing inspections and tying off and loosening ropes. Passengers are boarding with luggage overflowing, many of them seen gathering their families together for a single file line, and others seen bursting from their quarters, porthole on all sides, to wave at their loved ones staying behind on the docks. The large ship is the spectacle of the day, and even those who have other works to tend to stop to take in the event. The boarding planks are brought in, closing off entry to the ship. We begin to hear the heavy chain of the anchor being hoisted in. Everyone's eyes are now on the quarterdeck, where the same captain of our tattered little sailboat is seen standing at the helm. With a signal of the arm, a cannon dry fires with a loud boom, and all the crew, all the passengers, and the bystanders let out a roaring cheer. The mainsails drop and the ship departs. Soon, all that's left is a speck on the horizon. But just before it gets too far out of sight, the smile on the captain's face can be seen all the way from the docks. Now, this is a beautiful little story about a humble beginning and a glorious ending. But that's just it. That's all there is. There's a beginning and an end. We don't know what happens in the middle. What goes on there? Why is the captain washing up to shore in a tattered, beaten little boat in the first place? I have my particular takeaway, but maybe you've already gotten your takeaway, and you're all right with that. Go ahead and sit and soak in whatever takeaway you've gotten, however this has applied to your own life. Sit, soak in that, and maybe you come back on a different day and different time, and then you can listen to what my takeaway is. Or if you feel obliged, go ahead and continue to watch and listen and receive somebody else's perspective. I believe the captain had a dream. I believe that dream was something that lied on the other side of the ocean. Now, I think that the captain's problem is that he first only considered how to get himself across the ocean. Perhaps the captain thought that his own personal skills at sailing would be enough to get him across the ocean. And perhaps this wasn't his first attempt to do so in a tiny little sailboat. Because after all, he only needed a boat big enough to get himself across the ocean, right? Maybe this captain was a seasoned sailor. Maybe he had weathered all different types of storms. Maybe he had been to places that only others had dreamed of. But I think this particular dream that he had was a bit further than he had ever been before. And I think each attempt to go this distance left him back on the same shore that he left off on, with a beaten boat and probably a beaten ego as well. But enough was enough. I like to think that somebody witnessed this captain's numerous attempts to conquer this great distance across the ocean. And that someone said enough is enough. And they stepped in and offered some insight, a concept that if applied consistently would not only get him to where he wants to go, but would take him further than he had ever dreamed of. Maybe it was a person, or maybe it was a book he read, or an article, or since the story's based in the 1800s, perhaps he found a time machine, came all the way back to the 21st century, and Googled it. Doubtedly. But he couldn't do this alone. The very first principle of this concept that he received insight on, however he received it, through a person, book, article, or time machine, the very first concept is he had to realize that he couldn't do this alone. Just coming to the realization that he couldn't do it alone would let him know that somebody else had to be involved. And if someone else had to be involved, then he would need a bigger boat. As if the waves and the wind that were tearing to pieces his tiny boat wasn't hint enough. And the second principle to this concept is that once he realizes that he can't do it on his own, he then has to realize that he's not alone. That when he can look past himself and see that there are many, many others who have the same destination, the same goal, the same dream in mind, and likely they're all still sitting there with the same armful of soaking wet problems that he has as well. And once he realizes that he can't do it alone, and then he realizes that he's not alone, then how do you get all of these people with the same goal in mind to work together to reach the same destination together? The answer: be the example. Be the one who extends a helping hand to another person. Maybe that first person returns the favor, or maybe they don't. But the thing is, you keep doing it. Which leads me to the fourth and final principle of this concept, which is that you never give up being the example. When somebody took his generosity and ran away with it rather than repaying it, he didn't curse them because he knew that they wouldn't get far with it. And there were many times where his generosity, his willingness to be a resource to other people and to help them in their endeavors and to help them achieve their same dream that he had, he made some big sacrifices. Sacrifices in his money, sacrifices in his time, and sacrifices in his own resources to see it through. But when he was repaid, when somebody did repay the kindness that he had been given for so long, not only was he repaid back what he had been giving, but it was in a friendship that over time would more than double his original investment into that one person. This one concept and 4 realizations led the captain to be standing on the shore, ready to set off as he had done many times before. Except this time, he wasn't alone, and he had a much bigger boat. 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help, but someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, 2 people lying close together can keep each other warm, but how can someone lying alone keep himself warm? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 people can stand back to back and conquer. And 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12. Thank you so much for listening to another article by yours truly, Blake Gann, with Peace with the Process. If you enjoyed this article and you want to hear, see, read, or listen to more of them, you can do so over at peacewiththeprocess.com. If you're looking to find more clarity, more direction, and be moving down the path to your most fulfilled lifestyle more quickly, reach out to me. I would love to work together with you to see what we can do to create your peace with the process. You can reach out to me on any of my socials, Facebook, Instagram, or you can go over to peacewiththeprocess.com and scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see a section there that says Create Your Peace. Go through there, and I go over what we would do together to get you more clarity, more direction, and moving down the path to your most fulfilled lifestyle more quickly. If you read over that and that sounds like something that interests you, go ahead and fill out the contact information and reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. I would like to contribute some of the inspiration for this article to my good friend, Mr. Robin Dreek. He's been on the podcast before. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and do so at Peace with the Process podcast. But through his generous time spent with me, as well as his amazing courses at peopleformula.com, he has truly been an example of what it means to be a selfless resource and friend to those you come in contact with. So thank you, Robin. And to everyone else, thank you for continuing to watch, listen, and read these articles. You guys are the true blessing, and I want to thank you all for following me and supporting me. If there's any questions you ever have, or you just want to reach out and say hi, please don't hesitate to do so. I'll see you guys next time on the next episode of Peace with the Process, or the next article that we decide to write, or anything else that we have going on. I look forward to hearing from you all. Take care.